everyone! Welcome to Lauren's Scrap Lot. My name is Lauren Urbonus, and I am excited to welcome you to Season 5, Episode 7 of the Great North American Stamping Show. Now, every week, my friends Lisa, Julie, and Jodi and I pick a layout from the annual catalog and we recreate it using a different suite for you. So this week we are on page 83 and we are going to recreate something from the Silly Safari inspiration. So last week, Julie took the crown with her amazing project, and I know that Jodi and Lisa and I are going to bring our A games this week to try and get your votes. Please make sure to click the like button on the videos and leave a comment for us. We love hearing from you, and if you vote by Sunday evening, it would help us crown a winner for next week. So, how this works. I am going to walk you through my project, and then after that you get to go to my description and find the links for the other three ladies' videos. You get to watch all four of them and tell us who you think should take the crown for the week. Now, I picked this little guy here in the bottom left-hand side of the page to recreate on my card this week. If you watched our videos last week, you'll notice that I really love the stylish shaped circles. Here is a peek at my card from last week, so you can go back and watch that video anytime. But I wanted to recreate this little multi-faceted section again. So instead of using Silly Safari, I decided to bring in Peekaboo Forest. This is an adorable online exclusive set that you can still order. It's available through your demonstrator, or of course you can reach out to any of the three of us. We're more than happy to help you. And I thought it would make a perfect little peekaboo card. So if you'd like to craft along with me, this is what I'm going to use. But the fun of this project as well is that you can do it with whatever you have on hand. Maybe you do want to do Silly Safari. Maybe you want to do Peekaboo Forest. You can recreate this project however you like, but I'm looking forward to crafting with you guys. Let me zoom you in and we will get going. Zoom! Okay, here is the Peekaboo Forest stamp set. If you have this at home, you'll notice there is a great assortment of dies that accompany this set. Dies that make these little critters come to life. A die for your tree, a die for your grass, or you can make it into a leaf canopy, some branches, and some individual leaves. So what I have done with this stamp set is made this adorable card. So you can see we have our three circled feature, and I have a little critter popping out from each of those little spots. Now the leaves, of course, they did not come from Peekaboo Forest. Those actually came from a set called Extraordinary Flora, and I'm going to show you in a few minutes how easy it is to make these leaves using either the washi tape that it's sold with or embossed on cardstock. So stay tuned for that one, and also stay tuned for the end because I have one more card to show you using these adorable little critters that you can find the video to recreate later. So let's get stamping. To make this card, we need a card base. So I have grabbed myself a piece of Pool Party. It is going to measure 4 1/4 by 11, and we're just folding on the 5.5 inch mark to give you a perfect card that opens from the top. If you have a bone folder, that is going to be the easiest way to get a nice crisp line here. And apart from that, it's good to go. I'm going to open this card up here and just show you the inside. So I always like to have a space to write, and then I had some extra Country Woods Designer Series paper, and I decided I would throw it on the inside of the card as well as the front. So we're going to start with a piece of basic white that is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And this just gets attached with a flat adhesive of your choice, seal, glue, or tape. This goes with the smallest of borders inside your card. And then you get to play with your scrap of Designer Series paper. So my piece measures 1¼ by 4, but that just happened to be what I had left over after my stamping. If you have something that's an inch or even 3/4 of an inch, those will work as well. So don't worry about that. We're going to attach this just to the bottom of the card. Quick and easy, and it just brings your card to life a little bit. Back to the front of your card. So here is where you get to do quite a bit of die cutting, but that's okay. I have mine all cut and prepped, so you'll be able to kind of visualize what I've done. So this paper here, this is the Country Woods Designer Series paper. There's some great dark timber wood frame pieces, and then I found this birch looking one as well. So I decided I wanted to play with this piece. And I grabbed the Stylish Shapes dies. This is the 3rd largest. It's kind of right in the middle of the set there. And I just went one at a time with my cut and emboss machine and cut those out. So I started with this one in the bottom here. I made sure that I had a little bit of a border on the bottom and on the side, did a little angle, and then did one that was kind of directly on top of this bottom piece. Very, very similar to what the catalog offered. Okay, so that's how I cut them out. Don't lose the little pieces though that come out of those holes, because we're actually going to tuck them in behind our critters, and that will give you kind of the perception that this is a fully fledged tree and the critters are poking their noses out. So I haven't done a birch one as a sample. I decided last minute I wanted to change things up, so we're going to do that, and we'll see what we like from here. Okay, so we're going to put dimensionals on the back of this. Because we have put so many different holes, you really do want to make sure you're supporting it all around that perimeter, and maybe even a couple in those large empty spaces. So give yourself a little bit of extra dimensionalizing time for this project. And maybe even one more right there. It's not going to hurt anything to have this one well supported. All right, all of those backings can come off, and then we're going to put this onto our card base. If you don't have the Stylish Shapes dies, that is okay. You can also use a circle punch, so don't stress. Here we go. You should be able to go on there. Perfect. Okay, now we have to play a little bit of Puzzle Master for a moment and just try to figure out which circle came from which spot. So, not matching up. That looks like that's a match. Should have some dark on the top of this one. That's a match. And you? That's a match. Okay, so these circles are not popped up on the dimensionals. They're in fact just going to be glued into place. I'm using just a little bit of the Tombow glue because then I can move them once they're in the hole. I'm just going to tuck it in. If you needed to grab your take your pick tool, you can, but you're just going to set this in place really so that nobody sees the background. You don't need to see the blue hiding through. It's just meant to give you a nice little border. There we go. And last but not least, one from the top. There we are. Okay. While we let those dry, we're going to work on cutting out our little critters here. So we are going to cut out one hedgehog. He is going to be stamped in early espresso on the crumb cake paper. And then you use the coordinating die cuts, which give you, they're really funny to look at. They give you actually a little lip when they cut. So the paws can be I guess, mounted over the side of the tree trunk. And it looks like they're just poking their heads out. So that comes pre-done in one pass. We're going to color his head in a second. You need one little bear who is stamped with early espresso on early espresso paper. Then you actually are going to do 2 raccoons, and I'll explain why in a minute here, but we're going to do 2 of them. One of them you'll color, one of them it doesn't matter if you color or not, but they are going to be smoky slate or gray granite ink on smoky slate or gray granite paper. This one happens to be gray granite because I liked the darker tone, but if you want the bright raccoon, that's okay too. And then for blends, you need 2 different blends here. We're gonna just go with our light smoky slate and the dark crumb cake, okay? So light smoky slate is what you'll use to color your raccoon. I am gonna color both of them just for the sake of it. So little claws. If you're somebody who is absolutely amazing at blending and coloring, you can certainly add more detail, but we're just gonna make this quick and easy. A little bit of color in his snout, little detail in his ears, and of course, those raccoon eyes. Make those really prominent for us. There we go. So that's our smoky slate. You don't have to color both of them. As long as one of them's colored, that's great. Then when it comes to our little bear, we're just coloring his snout area. I'm not being fancy at all, just doing the basics to give a little color contrast. And his ears. Now our hedgehog. This guy is where the crumb cake will really show up. I'm gonna do his little mouth. And then for his hair, this is gonna be funny. You're basically just gonna follow the hairline that Stampin' Up has already given you. And just draw streaks with your crumb cake. Don't go right to the edge. You do want to leave a little bit of a border, but just give him his crazy spikes and he'll be happy. There you go. Quick and easy. That's all we want to do. On the back of 3 of these, so 3 individual little critters, we're going to pop a dimensional on there and we will stick them in their little windows of the card. I have used up successfully my dimensional sheet. I need a new one. Oh, here we go. There's a few. There we go. Okay. These are mini dimensionals, but they will work. I will just put 2 of them on. 2, 1, and 2. There we go. Okay, so as I mentioned, these little critters, they already are meant to tuck over top of a spot. So it's up to you to decide which spot you want them to go. I would suggest keeping the raccoon in the top because we've colored and cut a buddy for him. But it's up to you about the other 2. So they just kind of slip, this little piece slips down underneath. There we go. And there we go. There's the little bear. Okay, keep this raccoon handy. You're going to need him later, but what we need to do at the moment now is cut and emboss our other 2 portions of this project. So first thing that you're going to do is you're going to grab some sort of leaves. If you have the Extraordinary Flora, I stamped with Versamark onto my Granny Apple Green, and then I heat embossed with the white embossing powder. So I've heated that already. I'm going to show you how to run this through your mini cut and emboss machine with a little trick that I've been using lately, because I have a lot of people commenting that they can't get their mini cut and emboss machines to work. So we'll do a little trick together. This thing should fit through the mini machine. We'll double check that, but pretty sure it does. Alrighty, we've got the mini cut and emboss. I might need to zoom you out. I apologize. Okay, there you go. So you can see that a little bit better. Now, typically when you use a Stampin' Up machine, you're going to always start with base plate number 1. So that one goes on first. And then what we usually use for die cutting are 2 clear plates. However, when I'm using anything besides like a really thin vellum or a window sheet, I'm getting a lot of issue with it being too tight to fit through. So what we're going to do is we're going to use 1 clear plate. That one does need to go on the bottom of your workspace. Then you're going to put your die and your papers. Make sure they're all nicely lined up. I think that's as good as we're going to get. And then instead of the other clear plate, we're going to use this gray plate here. So it has to go on the top. You can't cut on this surface. It's not as forgiving as the plexiglass pieces, and you can't buy replacement plates for it. So it does have to go on the top, but it's slightly thinner than the plexi piece. So we're going to have a little bit more success with this and the mini cut and emboss machine. You don't need to do this on the large one. It works perfectly with those 2 clear plates. So mini cut and emboss machine only. Don't tell Stampin' Up. This is not Stampin' Up approved, but this is how it works for me. So give it a try for yourself if you're having trouble with your machine. All right, when these pieces are all said and done, there are a lot of them. So many fun pieces, but we only need a few. So we'll just toss them out on the desk, and I will show you the few that I'm going to grab, and then of course you're more than welcome to use the rest on another project because they are amazing. If you watch my channel, then you'll see I have done quite a few videos with this Extraordinary Flora bundle, but using the washi tape that you can grab with it, this beautiful roll here. I've gotten so much use out of that. So please go subscribe to my channel, watch some of those videos because those ideas are all there. All right, from this stack, we are going to grab large leaf. Check. We're going to grab one of these 2 flowers. I think I picked the larger of the 2. We're going to grab this big tall guy hiding in the back. We're going to grab this little branchy leaf and then one of the tiny leaves. So I'm going to grab this guy. And then the rest of them are beautiful, but they are not needed for this project. Okay. There's your project at the moment. Now you need a sentiment. So because I chose the Stylish Shapes dies to do my circles, I figured I should use a Stylish Shape banner to finish off the card. Now these Stylish Shapes banners are wonderful because of course they come in 4 different sizes. They're sold with the circles and the squares, so you can just buy one thing. However, they are a little bit long for this card. So you'll notice I have heat embossed this sentiment already. If you're wondering where that came from, it is from this She's the Greatest, another online exclusive set, but it is on last chance, so it's a good price right now. It's on sale, but that's where I got it. You could also grab something from somewhere else. Anyways, I have heat embossed this with white embossing powder, just like we did on our leaves. And if I compared it to this one right here, you're probably sitting here saying, well, one is longer than the other, so what on earth did you do? This is where I'm going to show you a fun little trick that you can do with your die cut. So I've cut it out once, I've heat embossed. Now I'm going to take my die once again and line it up exactly where I want it to cut. So because it has the stitching in it, the little indents in the die, you can just match them up again in a different position and run this through your machine. So all it's going to end up cutting off is this front part. It's not going to recut anything else as long as you're in the groove. You want to make sure you're in the right groove. And as long as you are, fingers crossed, we should be able to cut this out. So we're going to use the mini machine once again. Base plate number 1, 1 clear plate. Make sure this hasn't moved. You can even tape it down if you're worried. And we're going to run this through. Now, if I was using a clear embossing plate, it would be easy to kind of see where the start of my banner was. I don't even have to run the whole thing through. I just have to run that very edge piece. I might have gone a little further, but when you're done, this piece comes off, and this piece is short enough now to make our project exactly what we want. All right, we're going to bring this back here and start assembling. I think I'll leave you guys in the zoomed out position. So we're going to put dimensionals under the words, "You're the best." These guys are going to get tucked, or placed, I guess I should say, on top of the raccoon paws. So here we go. He's going right on top of those raccoon paws. It'll come maybe across the top of the hedgehog, and that's fine. Now, remember that second raccoon I got you to do? I realized that if I tucked this banner underneath the first raccoon, it actually didn't work the best, because then my flowers had to be placed with flat adhesive and they didn't come to life. They didn't bring the project to life. So instead I decided I'm going to grab an extra raccoon and I'm going to put him right over top of his existing partner. So tucks right over top. His little paws will come on either side of the banner. And then as long as you line your raccoon up directly on top of his partner, you won't notice that he kind of has a shadow. The other option is to only cut one raccoon and to put 2 layers of dimensionals underneath him. Okay, but look how cute that is. Now we get to attach a bunch of our little features. Okay, so we're going to start with one of our little leaves. And because there's so many holes, and I'm going to call them potholes lying about, I'm going to do my dimensionals on the birch piece of wood instead of on the back of any of my leaves. So one little piece here. We're going to come down and add more dimensionals here. Even one will hold it. Tuck that guy under. You're basically just maneuvering these pieces so they're not covering any of your little critters, but they are filling out that beautiful green space, or that empty space. Got one little branch off to the left. Continue on for the last ones here. So this one really only gets a dimensional up at the top and near the bottom, but it is long enough to cover both of those. Just make sure none of the dimensionals go in the holes. I think I might have had it tucked behind him a little. You know what? That's okay. You can go beside him. And last but not least, one more little branch. There, no frustrations, because I put all the dimensionals on the empty blank space. And there you go. You can let me know which one you prefer, if you are team, wood dark evergreen, or if you like the birch. But I think either way, they are absolutely adorable, and it's a really fun way to recreate a card. Before you go, I promised you a sneak peek of another card that I do have posted on my site. I will put the description, or the link, in the description below as well, of course, as all the supplies and measurements if you would like to recreate these. Here is one that I did quite a few months ago, I think, when this first came out, but this is a little peekaboo card. So make sure to go click on that link as well. It's not part of this competition, but it is another reason that you're gonna love the Peekaboo Friends bundle. Tune in next Thursday for episode 8 of the Great North American Stamping Show, and make sure to come back because we all have videos that are not part of this competition as well. Thank you so much for participating and crafting with us. See you next week.